Cafe Anyway. What?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's FF episode 2742, and I, like you, have already forgotten
Mike's Daily Podcast
that it is the beginning of the year, and that New Year's Day was earlier this week. So that means everything is slightly tweaked. Like, for example, with the garbage day, everything got moved along, and that's okay. That's all right. That's the end of my song. But I did want to tell you that in 2023, if we go back, that beer had a rough year.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Beer had a rough year. I'm Mike Matthews. We're at Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth, and
Mike's
people are moving here.
Daily
People like it here.
Podcast.
A lot has been
Yeah.
developed. A lot was empty. A lot of stuff was just there and was an eyesore, and then all of a sudden stuff filled everything up, and we had stuff moved in, and we had stores and
The Fascinating Material Project.
then stuff has been closing. Last year was not good for that. A lot of my favorite restaurants closed. And I don't know what's happening now, but there's stuff, supposedly it's getting replaced. Hayward's getting it really bad. Downtown Hayward's not looking good, but oh boy, I hope it turns around in 2024. I want it to be better than before in 2024. But beer had a rough year. Consumption levels fell to their lowest in years.
Hey, kids.
As fewer than 200 million barrels were estimated to have been shipped for the first time since 1999.
It's me.
Yes, fewer than 200 million barrels.
Do-re-mi the clown.
Now there's I cannot read this sentence, but it says Near now has to compete with new sugary. Oh, that's what they misspelled. They spelt beer as Near.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Wasn't there something called Near beer? Wasn't there O'Doul's? I don't understand that. I'm just not going to drink beer at all. If I can't drink beer, I won't drink beer. If I shouldn't drink beer, I shan't. I shall not. The podcast picture today, maybe we'll do it from a brewery or something that I was at recently. I have friends that work in breweries. And what is that old expression that beer is God's way of saying that he loves us and wants us to be happy? I'm paraphrasing. The late great Basil the Boxer and I went to many a brewery and had fun walks and talks with because a lot of dog owners go to the breweries, the craft brewing places.
The Word of Dog.
For New Year's, I did not have any alcohol. Did I? No, not at all. But we did have a little bit of beer last night because it was in a recipe that we found on the Food Network on their YouTube channel. They have this interesting soup that I can't think of her name. The cook is she's named Sunny. And she uses this very spicy Korean sauce called gochujang. And you put it in this with the beer and a broth. And you cook it with, I think, noodles. Yes, the udon noodles. And it's quite delicious. I'm going to post a podcast picture of something cool from 2023 is what I've decided. And you'll find out what it is when you go to mikesdailypodcast.com. Or sometimes the podcast picture is included with the podcast, depending on what platform you listen to. And it is all over the place. So there's all kinds of places to listen to Mike's Daily Podcast. But now beer has to compete with a new sugary alcoholic drink. There's so many sugary alcoholic drinks that them kids like. I know. When I was a kid, we were guilty of drinking, what was it called? Bartles and James and Zima. Oh boy, that was not good for you. It's so full of sugar. But Dunkin' has spiked coffee. Dunkin' Donuts, so there's Dunkin' spiked coffee. I've not had that yet. Warner Brothers achieved the second most successful movie release of all time on Christmas Day with The Color Purple, pulling in more than $18 million on its opening day, which is an interesting way of wrapping up 2023 as we wrap it up like a Christmas present, because Warner Brothers had an awful, well, all their superhero movies have been doing terrible lately. The Black Adam, Shazam 2, and then the Flash movie that came out did badly, and a lot of people did not like it. So that whole thing is getting redone from the top to the bottom, and those guys that were responsible for Guardians of the Galaxy, some people came over from Marvel that are going to help out.
The Daily Haley. The almost Daily Haley.
Superheroes, the ones everybody knows. Everybody, I mean, Superman pretty much started it all. And then later you had Spider-Man. Spider-Man's with Marvel. And then you have Superman, who's with DC, and Batman. So it's a big comic chain. Nintendo is expecting to release a new video game console to succeed the Switch late in the year. When somebody said the word Switch to me, I thought they meant like a thing that you use to punish a kid. That's how old-timey I am. But last year, it was interesting that home prices grew at the quickest pace. S&P CoreLogic, Case-Shiller home price indices, so you know it's something you can rely on because it's got all those fancy words in it. They recorded almost a 5% annual home price gain in October, which that doesn't sound big, that doesn't sound incredible unless you weigh it with the fact that that is the fastest gain since December of 2022.
Mike's Matthewsman Park.
The front panel will close automatically. Please remain seated at all times.
Now, I'll just tell you that I'm outside a Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
Yes. Oh, San Diego and New York saw prices rise up over 7%. And from October of 2022. And the price gains that were the smallest for homes were in Las Vegas and Phoenix.
Mike's out of left field recordings.
Recording everything captures actions that will never again be repeated.
I'll tell you those results in about a year. And Tesla did really well, apparently, in 2023, in the fourth quarter. They delivered a record 484,507 vehicles. That's the best they've ever done. They're trying to bounce back from a disappointing third quarter result, and they are fending off Chinese competition for the title of the largest maker of battery electric vehicles in the world.
The Cutting Corners Corner.
The Cutting Corners Corner. And then that meant that their stocks rose. They had fallen 65% in 2022, but guess how much it rose in 2023? 100? Nope. 101? Nope. 102%. So they did rather well last year. They did not break out numbers for the Cybertruck and numbers for its Semi. However, some previous and prospective customers of Tesla have declared plans to avoid buying from the company in response to Musk and his frequent incendiary remarks on X, which he now owns, and other public speaking events. He bought that about a year ago, didn't he? Twitter. And then last year changed it to X. And there's been talk all about his Cybertruck. And people are like, wait, that's not going to work. It's ugly. There's all kinds of...
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
Whatever the opposite of hype is.
The Marco Minute. The Marco Minute.
That is pretty much it for all that. Oh, by the way, all that came from Rob Black. I produce his podcast, and I work with him. You know, he's on the radio on AM 1220 KDOW Monday through Friday in the morning, and he's on Cron TV.
Magnification.
Monday through Thursday, you can watch him, and he has interesting news like that. There's another person, I've never met them, but they are on one of the radio stations I work for, and he has not been on the air for about 6 months. Somebody else, his partner, has been on the air instead. And I just found out today that he has pancreatic cancer. Now, I lost an aunt to that. My mom's youngest sister passed away due to pancreatic cancer. And because of that, I know all about it. And I know all about how bad it is. And we lost Alex Trebek, Patrick Swayze to it. And it's unfortunately, it's not too long till the person is gone once they get it. So they're in good spirits. They're doing their best to fight it. But, you know, I was like crying today because I heard that, even though I've never met the guy. But I'm like, oh, that's too bad. It sucks. So anyway, if you know someone who's been through it or is going through it, my heart goes out to you. Thank you for listening to this podcast that is oh so down all of a sudden. Sorry, I didn't mean to be depressing and down. So that's why I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to talk to some people outside of Café Anyway. I have discovered some more cassettes. The last podcast that was entitled Sky.
Ginormous.
We heard some old recordings of mine from over 30 years ago, when I was on the radio and in my 20s and oh so young. And the music was so good, even though it was so bad. I loved it so much. I hear these tapes from way back, and I'm more interested. I don't care how I sound. I know I sound young and stupid, but to hear the music.
A fine article.
You silly, great, fat article.
And that's because I was young. I was in my 20s. You always love the music when you're a teenager in your 20s the most because you're nostalgic and you're thinking, I was super. I could take on the world. I was in the best shape. I flew around the world with my superhero DC comic abilities. And we make it much better. It's the Uncle Rico syndrome, as in Napoleon Dynamite. Okay. Hey, who's outside of Café Anyway? You might be asking. Let's find out. Hello, my commander, it's Madame Rootabega. I am outside the Café Anyway. Oh. Were you a super person when you were young? Yes. Did you date Superman? Yes.
We love you, Mike.
Do you like eating soup that's got gochujang in it? No. Well, it's spicy, so you gotta, be in the mood for it. But it will clean you out in your face. It'll clean out your face, is what I'm saying. Look, I'm just gonna say that in this world, it's fun to be cynical and to make fun of people and have humor at other people's expense. A little bit of that is okay. I do not understand the people that live in that world where they're just so cynical and so down and have to make fun of everything and all that. And you see that a lot with comedians. If you've ever known a comedian, they're usually dark people. Because that humor comes from a dark place. And then you gotta tell the jokes. You have this need, this drive to tell the jokes in front of people, and they're all drinking, and it's dark, and it's sad, and it's a Friday night. Or sometimes if you're doing the stand-up in an open mic situation, you're doing it on a Tuesday night or something ridiculous like that. That's why I never wanted to do that. No, will not do it. I don't think you should live in that world. Just think of all the comedians who met their demise much too young over all kinds of... I'm not going to even say their names because it's depressing to even talk about. But My point is, it's good to try not to live in the darkness like that. Try to live in the light. It's fun to watch an episode of South Park every now and then. I was just watching I have not seen in 20 years the Christmas episode with Mr. Hanky and the whole Mr. Garrison sings the song Merry Bleeping Christmas. And just I can watch South Park for about 2 minutes, and then it's just so cynical, so down, it depresses me, and it makes me laugh. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh boy, this is at the expense of someone that doesn't really need this right now.
Magnification.
That's all I'm saying. What do you think? Do you think you should put people down all the time? Do you live in the darkness? I hope you don't. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we haven't had a beer in a long time, D.
Yeah, no beer. Do you know that? That's good. You should take a break. You shouldn't. Some people, I can't see. I mean, once in a great while, it's great. Maybe a beer here and there with friends, a fun occasion, something like that. But no, every single day. Most of us were raised in a world where our parents were pouring us glasses of Tang. Yes, Tang. What the heck is that? That powder went to the moon. Astronauts drank it. I don't know how that was even possible. Because if you drink water out in zero gravity, doesn't it turn into these little balls that flop around and you can't drink it because it gets away from you? It's like Jell-O in space. How are you supposed to drink that in space? Tang Jell-O? Don't get it.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
There are...
Woo!
That's what I question. I question what we were as children. The Capri Suns, all the drinks that we were given, mostly sweet, mostly not good for us. The sodas, Mountain Dew. Oh, we drank so much Mountain Dew. And then eventually that gets transitioned to something. Oh, you drink it, makes you drunk. Woohoo! How wonderful, how fun. And beer. And it just, that's the first thing the doctor asks you when you go for your annual visit. How many drinks do you have a week? And that's a good question to ask. And maybe if you get it to 0, you're doing a good thing for yourself. And if you get the darkness to as close to 0, you're doing a good thing for yourself. So keep that in mind. What do you think? Does that make any sense? Is that ridiculous? If you do think it's ridiculous or not, you can call me at this number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Oh, yeah, that Gloria Estefan song. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. See the light, see the light. That was what, early 90s? And she and her husband, they discovered John Cicada. And he had a voice like an angel. He had a song called Angel. And I think that's pretty much all the music knowledge I will throw on top of you today. But with more ways to chime in about anything we covered today, it's A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!